are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm perfect. So excited to talk about the science fiction book. And this is my first interview with the science fiction author. So I'm truly excited.
Okay, I'm excited as well. I have given a lot of blog interviews, but this is my first YouTube kind of interview. So yeah, fairly excited.
Awesome. So sir, we would love to know about you and the book itself.
Okay, sure. So yeah, let me talk about it. So I basically I did my graduation from IIT Delhi in 2007, and I worked as a software developer after that. And then from year 11 to 12, I did my MBA from Indian School of Business. And this writing bug came into me fairly early on. I was I was very excited by plays. We used to do a lot of theater plays when I was in school, in college. And there what we used to do, we had a constraint that we were in a boys' hostel, and we used to take part in the plays. So we had to make sure that we either take plays which had all male cast, or either we take a play and we adapt it to make it all male cast somehow. So because in a serious play you cannot have men playing women. So there it started. I started writing a lot of plays. Dialogues were kind of coming very naturally to me, and I was able to pen down some really good plays there. We even wrote a complete play from scratch. So adaptations apart, we wrote a complete play. It was a super hit. So there, kind of the writing bug was in there with me. Before that, I wrote one story way back in school, but yeah, nothing much. So yeah, it clearly started from IIT Delhi, and IIT Delhi has a very good cultural environment.
Yeah, I've been to IIT Delhi once.
Oh, okay, you have been? Wow.
Yeah, I had my national networking championship at IIT Delhi, so I had been there for once.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so you like the campus?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, so this journey started, and I used to write a lot of blogs as well. It was majorly on dialogues again. I had a poems blog, but I think somewhere around 2012 I stopped writing a bit. I was focusing more on career and all that. But I think somewhere in 2015 I again started writing short stories. I was not very clear on how to publish, because publishing scene was very different. I had not seen many authors in my circle publishing. For me, publishing was largely about these big guys or film stars or some big writers. Although way back in 2007 when Chetan Bhagat got popular, it was something of he was an engineering student, and he also came to our hostel. He was from my hostel in IIT Delhi.
Ooh,
so he was talking about his book 5.7. Okay. Yeah. So seen that, but not publishing was something which is something very different. Something I did not know I can do, or so I used to write stories, share with a few friends, and let them think what my audience was not very wide. But I think 2015 is when 16 is when I wrote this story called Genie, which was it was not published anywhere. And 2018 January is when I decided I need to do something, because now I had seen a couple of folks in my circle who had published books successfully. They were fairly successful. I did not aim for that kind of success, because a couple of them are very popular. Ravinder Pal Singh, he's my ISB batchmate, and he's fairly popular, but he's more of a romance author. And so when I looked at publishing options, one way was to try to go traditional way, but what I came to know was that it's not that easy. Generally for fiction, especially these publishers, they are looking for some kind of brand before they can start they agree to publish you, basically. So what I did was, okay, let me go ahead, self-publish, and I did not think that I will. So when I used to go to these Goodreads or even Amazon, and I used to see self-published books, I could see very less number of ratings. In Goodreads, they would have less than 10 ratings and all. It was a bit discouraging, to be very honest, because okay, so no one's reading the book, but I realized it's important for a writer or an author to also build some of these writing connections.
Correct.
I think one of the internet entrepreneurs I met very long back, he said a very good thing. He said, if you build a website and you don't promote it, it's like opening a shop in a jungle.
Correct.
Right?
Very correct.
No one knows about it. You have to do SEO and optimization and all that.
Yeah.
And the same thing is about the book. You just take a book and you just publish it and forget about it. No one's going to read it because it's like a book kept in the jungle. No one is going to know about it. So, which is when I decided, let me reach out to as many reviewers as possible. And I think the key there is to make those reviewers feel special about your reaching out. You should not do a mass mail to reviewers. See what interests them. If some reviewer is totally into romance books, I cannot just send him or her my book and say, okay, review it, right?
Yeah.
So I have to review policies on blogs, and I reach out to multiple reviewers. And that's how time crawlers gain so much attention. Right now, I think I have more than 100 reviews on Goodreads.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is something I see only for some of the published books. So yeah, it's been a good journey. It's I think when I decided to hit the publish button that day, I think it's a good decision in retrospect.
Wow, that 100 reviews is amazing. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
So how come you came up with the science fiction, like completely into the science world and not describing any magic in the book?
Well, I think I do want to write books on magic, but wherever possible, I'll try to root that in science, because and there have been Hollywood movies which have done that, like Sorcerer's Apprentice and all, which talk about magic being very closely related to science.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of I am a very big fan of TV series, and in one of the TV series called Stargate, which is one of my favorite TV series, there are some space explorers. They go to a village and they shoot down something with a laser gun or something, and villagers are like, oh my god, that's magic. And then one character is Dr. Daniel Jackson. He says, guys, just because you don't understand it does not mean it's magic. Right? It's some kind of a science which is, I believe there are scientific roots to magic, right?
Yeah.
And if and when in future I put magic in my books, I'll try to put it in some scientific terms as much as possible. So I'm not averse to that, putting magic in the books.
So how was your experience writing the science fiction book?
I think it is on this whole experience I can describe in I can describe this experience in two different levels. One is your own satisfaction when you write these stories, and when you're writing, you are just getting some goosebumps that oh my god, I've done some sort of good thing, and at times ideas are just flowing through you. There are so many ideas, and you're just thinking, you know what, I need to pen it down as soon as possible. And if I'm writing my recent book and I'm just jumping from chapter to chapter. Oh, I have to add this idea to that chapter. I have to add this idea to this chapter, and it happens at times, right?
Okay.
And rest of the times you're just editing it. But the flow which comes at that time, that is the flow I write for. That inspires me a lot. That's what I love writing about, right? And second is obviously when other people read it, and so for the first one was the inner experience, but this is the outer experience, and people read it, they say it's awesome, it's good, they want to read more like that. That is really good. And there are so many reviews where people they've just loved the story. There are some people have really they have given you bad reviews also, and that's a part of the game. But the people who have loved it, right? People who have really, really liked the stories, that gives a very good experience, because then you are sharing a part of your thought with someone else, and they are also appreciating. So these are the two levels I believe at which I experience writing, and I think that is something which aspires and motivates me to write more and more.
So how long did you took to write this book?
So I like I said, right, I wrote this story Genie fairly early. It was about 2 years back. It was not written in the form which I written now. I made several changes now, but the original concept was written. Rest of the stories, even Eclipse, was written fairly early. Sometime early this year or last year, I don't exactly remember. but I again polished it more and edited it more. Rest of all the 4 stories are very decent. Almost, I would say, if I crunch the time together, it would have taken me around 3 months to write and edit and bring the stories to the final.
So you
stage.
did this full-time writing or?
No. So I work with Amazon. I work as a manager for data science, and writing for me has been a passion, but I know it. I don't want to make it a vocation. It's something more. It's in future maybe, but as for now, I think writing is something which is extracurricular for me, which helps me sometimes keep myself sane, to be very honest, right? Because it helps me because I'm passionate about my work also, but at times you have to balance your work and your personal interests. That is where writing comes in.
Okay. So, sir, when you are publishing your physical copy of the book?
Yeah, so physical copy, basically the physical copy, the way I have gone right now is I have gone with on-demand copy publishing. So it's with Amazon KDP, and even for India business now, I think they have this on-demand copy available. What I'm planning to do is that Time Crawlers already has got a lot of traction and people are loving it. And what I'm trying to now do is I'm working on my next book. Which is going to be paranormal sci-fi fantasy. That is the book I am going to go completely from start. I will go with a complete buzz and paperback and ebook both. So for Time Crawlers, I'm thinking let the momentum continue. People are loving it in ebook form.
Okay.
And print on demand is available. but for my next book, definitely from beginning itself, I will go with the paper. This was my first experience, so the second experience, I'm going to do a lot of things the right way from the beginning.
All the best for your next book, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sir, what kind of a research did you do for the parallel universe?
So basically what I did was I have been reading a lot about these. I watch a lot of space documentaries. I watch a lot of videos and documentaries about black holes, black hole physics, possible theories around existence of parallel universes. And this book is built on a theory which I deeply believe in, to be very honest. I totally believe that when as a writer we are thinking about something, when as a writer we are thinking about a story or a different idea, I think we might be tapping into that parallel universe, right? Because the concept of parallel universes is that even small changes in our choices can create an entirely different new universe. Now, there are a lot of theories and some people agree to them, some people don't agree to them. But the crux of it is there are parallel universes in which there are people living whose lives are not very different from ours, right? Like, for example, some people like to quote that there are parallel universes in which the outcome of World War II was very different, where Hitler won the war, right? And there's a book on that, The Man in High Castle, right? There have been TV series, there have been movies made on parallel universes. Many eminent scientists have talked about parallel universes, right? So research was all over. I did not do specifically. It's generally, I like to read a lot about it. I like to read about concepts such as supernovas, nebulas, black holes, parallel universes. These are very exciting concepts. They are very, very different from our day-to-day life. And so my research is ongoing, to be very honest. I keep on reading about these things.
So your next book is based on science fiction?
Yes, so one of the feedbacks which I got from most of the people who have reviewed this book is that we loved the stories, we liked them, but some of them had cliffhangers, some of them were like they felt the story should have more stuff in that, and that's a problem with short stories at times, that you tend to pack a lot of things and people love it, but at the end of the day they want something more. And folks, generally readers, they are habitual of reading books which are 200 to 300 to 400, 500 pages long, right? So what I did was I picked one concept which is time travel, which is an essential concept of this book as well. I picked that and upon that I am writing a complete story. So what my idea is, I will try to pick stories from this book and try to convert them into full novels, write a more detailed background story, develop characters more, create a better supervillain if possible.
Oh, okay.
And give readers that complete novel experience if possible. I don't know if I can go to the novel length of some 80,000 words, but definitely somewhere around 35 to 45,000 words, somewhere around 150 to 250 pages.
Oh, okay.
Is something I'm looking at.
So when we should expect your next book?
The very first draft of manuscript I've completed yesterday, but I think I'll spend a lot of time in kind of looking at the characters, plot holes, languages. I'll again redo some character sketches. I just want to make sure that this is a more packed and much powerful experience for the readers. So I think you should expect somewhere around November, December time frame.
Oh.
Maybe early if I'm ready, but definitely around November, December time frame I'm going to come out with this one.
Okay, so sir, this is one of the favorite question I ask every author. So there are 6 stories in your book. So if you get a chance to make a short film, which story you would recommend?
I think Time Crawler is the story, right? The main story of this book. I think that will make a very good short film because that is very engaging and that has a lot of good facts which the two characters are discussing, and I think can be very easily made because therein I have not put a lot of. It's a more of a conversation. That is one, and I think even Narkastra, the Hell Weapon, I think that's another good story which can be built because that is very close to our mythology. That is something which especially Indian audiences will love a lot. So these two, I think they are very strong contenders. Although I've written 4 stories in dialogue format, so technically they can be very easily converted into screenplays. So possibility is there.
So which director you would love that you should direct your film, a short film?
I think in terms of characters, the character of I think in Cave, the character Kaljivi, I think that is a fairly strong character. I think this book I was not able to develop her a lot because the short story. But in future, if I write a complete novel, because she's a telekinetic, she has a lot of powers. She is a very just character. She is a character which does not want to control it. She's not corrupted by power, right? There's a saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. She has near absolute powers, but she's not corrupted by those powers, and I want to delve into that in future. That's a character I would like to, and in this story, she did not have a lot of nemesis or other telekinetics who could have been her arch enemies. But in future I write such a novel, it can be a very engaging story.
Okay, so which difficulties did you went through writing a science fiction story?
I think one of the difficulty which is if you are completely weaving a fantasy where you think that you need not give any reasoning to the readers, I think that is a separate type of writing. But when you're trying to stay true to science, although you realize it's not hard science fiction like Carl Sagan wrote, but when you're trying to stay true to the facts, you cannot just take a liberty of writing anything. Right? You cannot just say, okay, someone just appeared out of somewhere, right? Or you cannot say that someone can just jump through time. You have to give some background for it to be little more authentic, because it's not a pure fantasy, it's sci-fi fantasy, right? And giving that some bit of background is somewhere you have to do some research. For example, when I was in story Time Crawlers, when Joki asked him, what is a time slice? and then he had to explain it in very technical terms, right? For that, I went ahead and researched. There are a lot of different definitions available within the scientific community for evaluating how you define a time slice or a second. And I had to look at all of them and decide, okay, this one seemed more technical, might feel a bit more technical for certain audiences, but let's include this. This one makes more sense. This one will bring more authenticity to whatever I'm writing, because I'm saying it's science fiction, right? Now, what is science fiction? There are a lot of school of thought. Some people only consider hard science fiction as science fiction. Some people say, okay, some kind of magic also can be put in science fictions. If you go on book buying websites, you will see a lot of stories loosely put under science fiction. So the challenge there was to where to draw the line. I cannot get very technical, right? Because the audiences are very technical. A lot of information dump can also put off audiences, right? So I had to make sure that I put just the right amount of science fiction in there, just right amount of technical details in there, which makes the story engaging, which makes characters engaging, and at the same time, it looks very authentic.
So what kind of a message you would love to give for the upcoming science fiction writers?
I think the message which I would give is, some people have told me that you should read a lot. I totally don't agree to that. Like, okay, you should read a lot, but I tend to not read other people's science fiction. I don't want to bias myself with that. Maybe I'm wrong in doing that. But I tend to read a lot on science actually, because when you are a science fiction author, you should understand basic concepts of physics. You should understand basic concepts of how the universe and the planets and the world functions. If you're writing more about space opera, if you're writing more about aliens, you should try to read more about some of the alien sightings around the world. If you are planning to write more about telekinetics, you should understand how telekinesis works. So some of that actual technical reading will definitely help. Second thing is, which I think which some great writers such as Jeffrey Archer have also said, is we should write more, right? Jeffrey Archer, Stephen King all have said that we should write more. You should not wait, right? Because one of my favorite quotes is, you can always improve your first draft, right?
Yeah.
But what you cannot improve is, you cannot improve empty pages.
True.
Right? Whatever is in your head is never going to become better unless you put it down. And when you put it down, it will be crappy. Right? Your first draft will be very crappy. You just hate it. You'll say, oh, I cannot put this in front of the reader. You don't have to put it in front of the readers, right? You have to make sure. There are some established writers who edit their books and so is 15 times, right? So when that much amount of effort goes into book writing, I think that is something which will refine your book a lot. Even before going to beta readers, even before going to proofreaders. Yeah. These are some of the very basic things you can do.
It is like, unless and until you don't pin down, you are not gonna come up with whatever it is in your head.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Just
so
write something.
Do you have any kind of a writing mantra you would love to share to encourage upcoming writers?
Well, to be very honest, I am still a very new writer, so I don't think I am so qualified to give the advice. But I'll go back to the same things. Try to write regularly. Even if you sing something, I'm not a writer which believes in doing detailed character sketches and all. Some people recommend that. But if you are writing a short story, you can write on impulse. If you're trying to write a bigger story, which I have recently experienced, you have to stick to a structure. You have to think of a complete structure up front, where you can say, okay, this will happen and this will happen. You have to frame it out. You might not frame it out in a way in which it's like entirely clear. It might be 70 or 80% clear at that time. But if you don't stick to that structure, writing a big 150 to 200 pages book can be very challenging, because you will dovetail into different kind of timelines, and you will, especially writing science fiction, you have to start with a structure. If you're writing a short story which is just let's say less than a say just around 2,000 to 3,000 words or less than 5,000 words, fine. But I think anything more than that, you have to go with the structure.
Okay. So any message to our reviewers, viewers?
Well, I think to reviewers, I'm really thankful to all the reviewers community, and to be very honest, there have been some very critical reviews for Time Close as well, and I'm really thankful to them as well, because they tell the readers what they don't have to read, right? Like there are reviewers who said your book has a lot of technical details, and the readers who look at that, they might not read it, which is fine, right? But there are reviewers who have written some really beautiful reviews. They have, without giving spoilers, that too. And even when they have talked about the stories, they have just tried to give the very small beginning essence of the story, which is enough to just incite that interest. So really thankful to reviewer community, and I would love to reach out to you again for my next books. Every review counts, right? Every review counts. You when laymen readers, when masses, they are picking up your book, everyone goes to the reviews, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I might have 100 reviews on Goodreads right now, but I don't know which one review of them will incite a reader to buy my book. That is something which is very important. So to all the reviewers, even if you have to write a 2-line review, please go ahead and write. That's very important.
So anything you would love to say about my channel?
I really like that. I think it's a very unique concept, as I told you, right? That a lot of people out there running blogs, a lot of people are out there running their own website. There are huge websites where thousands of reviewers are coming and reviewing books. But I think yours is a different concept. I've seen a couple of other YouTube channels, but I think YouTube definitely is the more engaging medium. When you are talking to someone, when you are looking at someone describing something, I think it's definitely a very unique concept. I really want you to continue. Keep interviewing a lot of interviewers and keep posting some of the reviews. I've seen some of your book reviews as well. They are really good. It's an entirely different medium. Really like that.
Yeah. So anything about your book again?
Well, I think I would say that my attempt has been to not write a very lengthy book. My attempt has been not to just put words in there for sake of it. In fact, I believe in writing books and stories which can very quickly pull you in. Establish characterizations wherever needed, but rather spend more time on the progression of the story and just quickly deliver that delight to you and be over with it. I don't believe in writing verbose books, and I mean, totally respect authors who want to do that. Totally respect readers who want to read more descriptions and etc. But I believe in writing quick, sharp, fast-paced stories, and I totally believe there is an audience out there which loves to read those kind of stories. And if you like science fiction, if you like fast stories, if you even want to venture into a very, very different world, very different concept, very different society, very different reality, I think Time Colors is a book which you definitely should give a try, and I'm hopeful you will like it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful time, and it was really fun reading your book. As being an engineer, I really love this scientific, energetic things. So it was really fun reading. So thank you so much for your time. Had a great conversation with you. I hope to be with you again with your next book. So yeah, already excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Charmi. It's a very nice interview, and I'm also looking forward to talk to you about my next book very soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.